this video I decided that I would speak instead of just having subtitles because I have quite a lot to say about notebooks and planners, and that would make a lot of subtitles. First, I thought I wouldn't have enough notebooks and planners to do lineup for 2023, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, hey, I have a lot of notebooks. I don't have a lot of planners, mind you, so I'll start first with the planners, and as such, these are not planners, they're more journals. Last year I started with this 2022 mini planner that I got at the discount store for 99 cents. I wanted to buy a very cheap planner because I wanted to try the 1 line a day planner thing. I had tried to do this a few years back and I had a beautiful 1 line a day 5 years planner thing, but I never finished it. So I wanted to try the experiment but not spend a lot of money. So I took this very simple notebook. The paper isn't great, but for what I was going to do with it, it would be enough. I'm glad to say I did it. I wrote at least a line a day. I only missed 1 day for that year and I'm very annoyed about that. I decided not to make it too complicated. I would write at least 1 line, but if I wanted to write more, I could. It was particularly nice when I was traveling because I could easily put it in my suitcase. As you saw in the introduction to the video, I keep this journal on my coffee table next to a pen so that when I come back from work or when I wake up in the morning, it's there. I just have to open it and start writing. As the experiment was quite successful in 2022, I decided to continue in 2023 and I picked up the same notebook, also for 99 cents. It's not exactly the cover I would have chosen, but there wasn't a lot of choices. I wanted the notebook to be the same because I would like to see them on a shelf when I have a few more, and it would be very pretty. I wrote my first entry this morning. I even used stickers for the weather. I wrote, of course, it would be cloudy to start the year and this journal. If you're interested in that kind of 1 line a day thing, I would encourage you to buy a very cheap notebook. It doesn't even need to be a planner. Here is my actual planner for 2023. In fact, because I'm a teacher, it's a planner that goes from September 2022 to August 2023. As you can see from its, let's say, handmade quality, I made it. I decided to make my own planner last year because I couldn't find what I needed. I don't like to waste a lot of pages. And because I'm a teacher, I wouldn't write anything during the holidays, and that annoyed me to have to flip through those pages. I also enjoy making things. Bookbinding is quite fun and I like to do layouts. To begin with, I taped the calendar for the weeks, for the school weeks on here. I added this illustration by Pemberley Pond at the beginning of the planner. They sell physical artworks but also digital prints. Next, my monthly layouts start. It's a very simple layout. All the pages are the same. I've used Canva to do them. As I've said, it's my second time making a planner. For the last school year, I almost had the same layout, but I slightly changed the colors, modified the size, changed the illustration. I really like it that way. All my monthly pages are together at the beginning of the planner because I find it more useful. I added the name of the month and the dates by hand because I didn't want to fuss about on Canva to write all the different months. As I was using my first handmade planner last year, I realized I was using this planner also for my personal life. So this is why I added monthly pages for the months of August, for example. After the monthly pages, I immediately start on my weekly pages. I'm going to choose something out of June. Because it's a school planner, I didn't add the weekends. If I need to plan anything on the weekends for my personal life, I just add it to my monthly pages. I write anything I need to know for school, lesson planning, meetings, etc. I recently started to draw a line in the middle of the page to separate anything personal and meetings and actual lesson planning because it was getting confusing. After my monthly layout, I have this other illustration by Pemberley Pond. It's the name of a lot of female writers. And after that, I added some grades pages. I have a grade notebook for my students, but I noticed last year that I didn't have enough pages for certain kind of tests. Here you can see the thread from the binding. I think that next year I will integrate my grade notebook into my planner to begin with. It would be easier than to have two notebooks to carry. After the grade pages, I added a few notes pages in case I was in a meeting and didn't have any other notebooks. I don't use it a lot, but it's still useful. At the end of the notebook, I have added a page for all my passwords. All in all, it's been quite sturdy. I really like this system. I think it's very affordable, it's customizable, and I use it a lot. Now I'm going to start with the actual notebooks. The first ones are my reading diaries. So this one is a finished one. It's from Leuchter. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I finished it in 2020. You can write the name of the book, if it was a physical book or an audiobook. I added if the book was read on my e-reader. You have the name of the author, when you read it, when it was published, the language in which it was originally written, and the genre of the book. There is some space for short comments or quotes about the book, and I absolutely love writing about my readings this way. If I didn't have enough space in it, I would add a little flap like here. At the end of the notebook, you have different pages. You could write books you want to read, books you want to give, books that you borrowed. Finally, you have an index. I didn't use all these pages like they were intended to. For example, on the to read page, I wrote my favorite book from 2016, some quotes. Gradually, I even added more pages to write about the books. I didn't want to leave any pages blank. It was a lovely experience to use this notebook. This is why I started a new one in 2021. Since then, I haven't read a lot, but I've still continued to keep up with it. I don't write about all the books I read, but when I feel the need to talk about a book, like I used to on my blog, I take this notebook. I initially bought this notebook because the illustration on it is by a Victorian painter named Marion North. I had never seen a notebook with an illustration from her. I recently started to use it as my museum and exhibition notebook. I saw this idea in a museum gift shop and I didn't want to buy the notebook because I didn't really like the cover. I added an index page at the beginning with the name of the museum or the exhibition and the date that the visit happened. I don't think I've added enough pages for that, but that's okay. I've used the layout from the notebook from the museum's gift shop. There is the year where the museum was located, the name of the exhibition. There is a simple rating system, the date the visit happened, and a few notes about the visit. I've also added what I call a female artist counter. I'm very interested by female painters, and I always find it funny to count how many paintings by women are actually in museums. It's usually one or two. I decided I would write it down in my notebook and it would be quite interesting to look back on. And then I have a little slot to put my ticket. And if you like visiting museums, I would encourage you to do this. This is my films notebook. I've had it since 2012. In it, I simply write the movies I watch every month. I write the name of the month, then the name of the movie, when it was made, and if I've watched it on DVD at the cinema, with whom I was, etc. Over the years, I've added different pages. For example, I added films I want to see. I started to write some series I watched. I'm a bit late for 2022, I'm still in September, but it's easy enough to look back on your Netflix account, etc. and see which movies you've seen to complete it. So it's something I would like to continue in the future. This is a simple Moleskine notebook. It came in a pack of 3. It's really nice quality, I really like the paper and that it's very slim. I'm not going to talk a lot about this notebook because I've shown it in my first video. It's my daily scrapbook. I started it in November. Basically, it's a picture a day scrapbook. I take a picture a day almost. I print it at the end of the week and I write a little caption. I really like decorating it. I like taking the pictures. It's just really fun. I can be creative without any pressure. It's also a very cheap scrapbook from the discount store. I will be continuing that in 2023. Next, I have my diary. I bought it in Edinburgh quite a few years back because it was discounted in the gift store. It's very simple. It has a wire binding, which I prefer for journals. I sometimes tape things, glue things, and I write when I wish. I must confess that I wrote a lot more in it at the beginning. I'm still keeping it because sometimes when I don't have enough space in my little one-liner day journal, I would take this one. And when I travel, I really like to take it because when I travel, I have a lot more to say than when I come back from work, for example. Actually, I'm near the end of this notebook. This is not a notebook per se, it's my watercolor sketchbook. It's a disc-bound sketchbook that I made. I used a disc-bound notebook from the discount store and I transformed it into a watercolor sketchbook. At the beginning, I made a color chart and I added some of the paintings that I like to look at. It's a very nice system. I like to be able to look back on what I've done, even if I didn't do a good job. I've added some blank pages, I've rounded the corner, and what I like with this disc-bound sketchbook is that I can use a lot of different papers. For example, here I have some cold-pressed paper. I've also added some hot-pressed paper, and at the end I've repurposed this Muji zipper. I've put holes in it and little slits. I would like to make a video about how I made this watercolor sketchbook because it's a cheap option for when you're starting watercolor or for when you don't like the different options of watercolor sketchbooks out there. If you're interested, tell me in the comments. After this notebook, there will be only one left. This is I'll call it my financial notebook. I started doing that this year, and it's basically a notebook in which I write all my spendings. I haven't watched any videos about financial planning whatsoever, so I wrote what I thought would be useful to me. I have a column for when I do grocery shopping, when I buy takeout, for I call variables. It's either for things that do vary, like when I buy gas, or when I buy things I don't really need, like a pretty notebook or books, etc. And here I have the things that I pay every month that don't change, like my rent, my Netflix subscription, etc. And this has helped me to reduce the amount I spent on takeout, which was my objective. I didn't realize how much I was spending. It's been very useful and I will be continuing it this year. What I like with this notebook, if I want to change the layout every month, I can. If I need to add a page to track the spending of a particular thing, I can too. I've used a notebook from Paper Blanks. It's a soft cover. I keep a pen in it so that it's always ready when I need to track some spendings and I don't have any excuses to not write in it. These are my last notebooks. They are my notebooks for my writing. I write short stories, novels, etc. I need to keep track of them. This was my first notebook about the novel I'm currently writing. I like that it's a very cheap, very unassuming notebook, so I can make mistakes in it. I don't feel obliged to keep it pretty. But because it's nearly at the end, now I've started to use this notebook that I bought at a James Tissot exhibition in Paris. I've started to write down some notes, some research. As you saw in the introduction for this video, I keep it in a drawer from my desk. Here it is. These are all the notebooks and planners I will be using this year. Tell me, do you use any similar notebooks? What are you going to use this year for planners? Take care and see you in the next video. This was my very professional setup to film this video.